Welcome to IHIP News. Convicted felon Donald Trump hangs out with a lot of what would Jesus do type guys.
Yes.
You know, he's surrounded by them, the Speaker of the House, etc. Well, as everybody knows, Los Angeles is on fire. Mm-hmm. Natural disaster, 100-mile-an-hour winds. Here's how he proposes to deal with that.
If you add Los Angeles into it, then you can really do one big, beautiful bill, because frankly, they want that so badly. They want the money to go out there so badly. And I don't think we should do a bill until Los Angeles is included. And when Los Angeles is included, we get everything we want.
Okay, so first I want to point out that California is one of the world's largest economies, right? Just the state itself. So they pay in far more federal taxes than any other state. So when Louisiana has federal disaster, Mississippi, Alabama, Oklahoma, North Carolina, Florida, Californians are paying a lot of that. And here's how the What Would Jesus Do government, here's what they want to do. They want to condition it. And I think they want to condition it because he wants no debt ceiling, because he wants to extend tax cuts, and I think he wants to buy Greenland.
Well, here's the thing with Donald Trump. We know that he doesn't care about the people that are affected by the fire. He only cares about what can I get from them when they need me. So basically, at their lowest point, he's trying to inflict upon them not help, but more suffering. And he is a disaster. All his acolytes are doing this. And I loved Gavin Newsom when he said, when he was discussing how Mike Johnson was acting with the conditions, and he made a very clear point. California basically saved Louisiana after Katrina, but nobody's talking about that. They're talking about Donald Trump being transactional and fucking with Californians.
Mike Johnson is a very small man on a very short leash with no spine and zero conviction.
Zero.
It is this bullshit religiosity that he spews. And then in his crazy mind, this guy is a fanatic, a real psycho, Mike Johnson. He thinks that God has chosen Trump and him to make America a Christian nation again. He believes that.
He believes it. And here's the thing. He and Trump are the worst two kind of people. Trump could give a shit about religion, doesn't believe in God, completely transactional. Mike Johnson is cowering to him and is a pussy because he's not even convicted to what he's saying. His convictions don't even extend to what he purports the Bible to be. All he is a henchman for Trump.
But I want to, there's something that people that don't live in the Bible Belt need to understand about this breed of Christianity. There's Christian light out there on the East and West Coast, and people that genuinely think you should be selfless and serve others.
Right.
In the Bible Belt, it is not that. The cruelty is the point of evangelical Christianity. Evangelical Christians like this cruelty because the religion inherently in and of itself is cruel and it's a grift. And so they are the perfect vessel for Trump to implement his cruel plan, because with MAGA, cruelty is the point. And if any of you have ever met huge Bible thumpers that live in red states that go to these evangelical churches, the punitive nature of their religion trumps everything. They like it. They like the cruelty. They like the racism. They like the judgment. And so Mike Johnson is exactly what a Bible Belt evangelical Christian is. And there are millions and millions of them. All right, moving along. The Trump official portrait. So everybody knows if you go into a government building, there's a picture of the president and there's a picture of the vice president. And I remember I was in Paris for an interior design thing, and I went to the American Embassy residence for this party, and I was so excited. And it's so fabulous, and it's, very French and decorated. And I looked over on this console, and there was Donald Trump's portrait. And this was like in 2019, 2020.
Buzzkill.
It was awful. I mean, it was just awful because the residence was gorgeous. Paris, get the fuck out of here. It was amazing. I look over and then there's that dipshit. But he was smiling. So because his mugshot. And let's just discuss that for a second. We have a president of the United States that has a mugshot because he was able to grift so much off of it, where he put the picture of his mugshot with the phrasing "never surrender" below it, wherein the mugshot is in fact a surrender. But, you know,
irony's lost on MAGA.
100%. So here is his presidential portrait. For those of you on YouTube, you can see it here. Here he is trying to recapture his mob boss bullshit. And then for those of you that are listening, it is basically the mugshot redone, and it has the American flag and, you know, like some furniture behind him. It's so embarrassing.
Can we discuss the makeup? This is his official portrait, and he has glasses where his makeup isn't rubbed in around his eyes and his mouth. Like, it's completely white.
It's just...
It's unbelievable. I mean, the picture itself is hideous. He's hideous.
Maybe his new Hollywood envoy could get a makeup artist over at the White House so that at least we could look at a president with blended makeup. But this is going to be his official portrait. This is going to be blasted all over. This is going to be in every federal government building.
Post office.
This dipshit trying to redo his felony mugshot.
He wants to look tough.
Okay. And then I want to point out that Donald Trump, one of his BFFs in the final days of his round one of being president, his best friend was Mike Lindell. And of course, Mike Lindell is the My Pillow guy. Mike Lindell puts on Twitter, 16 years ago today, I was set free by God of my crack and alcohol addictions. I founded LindellRecoveryNetwork.org to help addicts get from addiction to Jesus Christ like I have been blessed. A person retweets this and writes, first man in history to ever stop smoking crack and somehow become crazier. So I think that's a great point. I think that when you deal with MAGA, you have a lot of very mentally unstable people.
Obviously, and I have to agree with that person. I have assumed this whole time that he was still using crack because of his behavior. He is bankrupted and lost his business because he has been so pro-MAGA conspiracy theory. I just assumed he was still on crack, but maybe not.
No, I mean, apparently he's sober here and he's helping people get from addiction to Jesus.
Well, that'll help.
That's the shortcut for all of these guys, you know,
right.
For Hegseth. Oh, I found Jesus. I found my Lord and Savior Jesus. Yeah, I have 7 kids with 3 baby mamas, but I found Jesus. And I also want to point out, I saw this on the internet. Imagine if a woman had 7 kids with 3 baby daddies and was nominated to be the Secretary of Defense. Imagine what the grilling from her and how Fox News and the right-wing media Jesus echo chamber, imagine how much they would unravel.
Well, here's the deal. The sexism and the misogyny is on full display, especially with the Hegseth, with his sexual misconduct reports, the alcoholism. Here's the deal. The people that vote to confirm him don't give a shit about the military or national security. The only thing they care about is A, pleasing Trump, and B, not being primaried, and they fucking suck.
Well, and they're very interested in the cruelty. There is an appetite for cruelty among all of these people, and that's what connects the far-right evangelicals to the people in Trump's administration that want to consolidate power. The people that want to consolidate power at the top don't care if it's cruel for them to do it. The Mike Lindells and the Pete Hegseths and all of the crazy right-wingers, the evangelical base, the cruelty is the point for them. They like it. They can't wait to see immigrants rounded up and treated like shit. They're frothing at the mouth for that to happen because their default setting is racism.
I agree. And sexism.
And then I want to leave you all with a clip from Bill Burr. And I think this is the path forward as to how we deal with the misinformation and disinformation that is going to be ubiquitous, even more so than it is now, these next 4 years, especially considering that big tech is euphoric over Trump, and they have gone and bent the knee, and they are so excited. And it's the most unregulated industry, and they want to make sure that it stays unregulated. So here's how Bill Burr is addressing this with Jimmy Kimmel.
I heard you had to evacuate your home.
Yes. Like most people, I had to. I got lucky, the winds moved, but, the fire was coming and all that stuff. So I feel lucky.
Are you guys back in?
And I think everybody did a great job.
Yeah.
Unlike the internet,
Yeah, right. I know. It's right.
Oh, my God. All of these fire experts. Why didn't you just fly a helicopter into the ocean? And then just, I don't know, because there was 100-knot winds? You want to do that? You want to do that at night, you lunatic?
How are you?
This was definitely mismanaged.
That's a big word we're hearing now.
Mismanaged, like some idiot on the internet knows how to manage the worst fire in LA, sitting there in his underwear. You know what? Looking at the footage on the internet, I have determined that this here was mismanaged. It was like the perfect awful thing that could have happened, and it did. And I love how all the chatter out there is about bands of illegal immigrants and homeless people lighting fires. They light fires every day. They're living outside, cold. And this theory that some homeless guy without a car went from Altadena all the way to the Pacific Palisades. And then we have a hang glider. And they're talking about looting. But CNN and Fox News are not going to bring up the insurance companies that are just going to keep everybody's premiums and still give themselves a bonus. Yeah. Yes. Free Luigi. I love how they acted surprised. Why did that happen? I have no idea. He wrote on the bullets why it happened.
Oh, we're back to Luigi. Okay, yeah.
I never left Luigi.
So this is exactly what needs to be said. All of these dipshits that think they're experts, that are sitting in their houses with a resting heart rate of 170, with their keyboard courage, and they just love the fact that they can demean Californians because in their very simple peanut brain mind, they think, oh, those Hollywood elite liberals are suffering because, again, the cruelty is the point. And he brings up the most important point of all of this. And this is the notion that, oh, look at these looters. When the real looters is corporate America. Right. It's no surprise that what happened to the United Healthcare CEO. He's not surprised, and I certainly wasn't surprised by it. Those are the real looters. That's where the real looting goes on. After Biden forgave student loan debt, there was this bullshit poll that came out where they interviewed people that were going to get their debt relief. What are you going to buy? Some of them said smartphones. Some of them said clothes. Some of them said a vacation. Some of them said drugs and alcohol. And of course, Fox News loses their mind over it. My point to all of this is, why do you give a shit what they spend it on? What do shareholders spend all of their money on? Because we all know that it doesn't trickle down. At least when there's debt relief, all of that money is immediately injected right back into the economy. Those people are going to immediately spend it, where these shareholders, they're going to buy back stock. They're going to buy a yacht. They're going to give more bonuses to 10 people.
It's interesting to me that you hear about all these insurance companies and you think, okay, under the current Trump administration, or the administration coming up with Trump, he's not going to hold these corporations to account. He's not going to hold the insurance company and say, you need to help your insured. There's going to be no backup for the people that are trying to rebuild their homes. And the thing about it is, the industry, I mean, we have a highlight on it because of the United Healthcare worker and the fires in the state of California. It's happening everywhere with every corporation. If they can fuck you, they will, and there will be no regulation to help the consumer.
Well, and the biggest takeaway that I'm seeing, what is going to happen in Trump 2.0 is it is going to be an administration for shareholders.
Absolutely.
And shareholders only. There is not going to be any assistance or help to all of these rural counties all over the United States of America that were deeply, deeply blood red. We're talking 80 to 90% of all of the people that live in this town, a lot of them probably on some form of government assistance, voted for Trump. And Trump could give two shits. This is going to be a presidency for shareholders and shareholders only.
Did you hear the Secretary of the Treasury's in his confirmation hearing? He said it'd be an economic calamity if we didn't extend the tax cuts for the super wealthy, and then that was his number one priority.
Of course, but what he failed to mention there was the economic calamity from that from 2016 to 2020, which was that it added 25% of all of the debt of our 230 years of being a nation. 25% of it came from that. So I think that they want to condition the natural disaster aid to California.
Yes.
Because I believe, mark my words here, he wants to have no debt ceiling so that he can assist shareholders, extend the tax cuts, and he wants a blank check to be able to buy Greenland. He and his wife, Elon Musk, have a myopic focus on that, and he wants to be able to write a check for it.
I agree.
All right, we'll see you guys later.
It's so